Okay, so we're going to look at Ephesians 5, and I'm going to go and do the screen share. And the verse in particular that I wanted you to look at is, let's move you over there. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. Now, the reason why I wanted to break this one down is because I do not like this phrase, wrath of God. Because if we are telling everybody that God is love, then would he be a wrathful and vengeful God?
Yeah, we need to change that scenario because it can't be. Yeah.
He's unconditional.
Yeah.
Meaning there's unconditional love there. So why would you experience the wrath if he loves you unconditionally? So this means that from what this is showing is that he's saying, or the way the writers have this, that God has conditions that you must meet.
Mm-hmm.
But he's unconditional love. So this is why people have had issues, and I totally don't blame them. So that's why I wanted to show this. So, okay, we're going to have fun. I'm not going to take a super long time with this, but I do want to just show you because this is some cool stuff here.
I'd love to see. Yeah.
It's very cool. So, lest any man. So let's just go lest any man. That's the first thing we're going to look at. Lest any man. This is this phrase right here. I'll highlight it. Get my cursor working. Lest any man. Okay. This is the root right here. Now, mem aleph is the same as mem he. In the New Testament, a lot of times you will see the aleph move there instead of the he, because the whole point of what Yeshua did in coming was to bring that sense of unity, that oneness, right? You know, I wish that they would understand and know that you and I are one. I want them to know that they are one with you. Right? So his whole process of his ministry in filling up the meaning of showing the complete divine masculine fulfillment in order to reveal the divine feminine so that we could become one. So the root of this, it would be a mem he prior. Mem he is the word that is like, what is it? Asking questions, which is the root for manna. So this is a question here. So lest any man deceive you. Okay, well, what is it? What is deception? What's going on here? Well, what's been added to it? Adalet lamed. So there's a question that's being presented. What is it? Well, the door is going to come, which is a frequency of someone that is going to open the door for you to point you inward, right? That is a teacher of light. So that's the very first word. So the answer is a teaching shepherd is going to come that will be the door for you, which is the same thing that Yeshua said. But this is writing after Yeshua. So if we talk about the spirit of truth, but we're also talking about teachers that are going to show you, come on the scene, that are going to show you the door. They're going to show you how to open that which is necessary so that you can go through the living water teachings of mother and father, because the mem, right? There's a mem and a mem sophite there. The two letters that become one, the waters, the living water teachings, so that you can learn to be one. That this is for all of humanity so that they can learn to be one by going on the spiritual path, but it is going to consume their beast nature. That's the whole consuming fire process. Fire is a purification. So I'm okay. So lest any man, I'm good with that until we get to the word deceive you. So let's go look at the word deceive. We have been talking about forgetting. So this whole verse, as it's talking about, so the teacher is going to come, a teacher of light that's going to show you the living water teaching so that you can be one, so that you can find the spiritual path, consume the beast nature because you have forgotten. And because we've forgotten and we don't know who we are, we can be deceived and we can wander away because we don't know the way that we should go, hence why the teacher has to come. So that's how it starts, right? So this next word, so the one on deception, it means part of it is to forget. So when we look at it, it's a tet ein aleph is the root of it. So when we have forgotten or we don't know who we are, we can wander away and we can be deceived because we don't know our way.
Right.
So let's go back to New Share. Let's go back to where we were before. So that's why the teacher has to come, because you have forgotten your way. Yeah. Now, here was the root, except the aleph isn't there, the yod is. And the reason why the yod is there is because you don't know the unity consciousness yet. You totally forgot. So a vision has to be given to you to show you how to find it. And how is that done? Well, through a spiritual path, through the seed of life that mother's going to bring to you. She's going to start the process. But because you forgot, you're going to have to wrestle. You're going to have to struggle. Because that's a tet there. You're going to have to wrestle in the mud in the basket until you can figure it out to be able to grasp what is going on so that you have the ability to see what's going on. Because once you understand that you have forgotten, then you will be able to have the power, means, and direction given to you to find your way back so that you can kun, so that you can be a firm standing one. So this suffix is huge. Kun. To be firm. You seeing that right there? Okay. So if we go back, so here we have the kun, to be firm standing. So it's the spiritual path that is going to be given to you because you have forgotten, so you could be one that is firmly standing. By the kun is, or the kaf is a vessel that's willing to be filled and to be bent towards kaf pei, the language that brings revelation, so that you can connect to the teachings of Father while you're in the fallen flesh. So this whole thing is about the process of our becoming because we've forgotten, hence why we have the fallen flesh the way it is. That is the word for deceive you. Now, this one right here is the words, and then this one right here is the vein. So words is mel. So these are just words that are, and if you remember, we've shared that mel is mellifluous, is honey, so the bitter and the sweet. So these are sweet words that are being brought to you by the teacher of light so that you can build yourself, Bet Tov, to becoming one. And how are they doing that? Well, it's the water, living water teachings that the teaching shepherd's going to bring to you. And they're going to be like honey. And we can say on your lips, even there's not a pay here, but that is that phrase that the words will be like honey to your lips. Well, right here, words, mel, honey. And then we have the word that says vanity, vain words. Vain, empty, vacant, and void. And it's a semek, resh, kuf. So what this is telling us is that we are going to be able to distinguish what are the vain words and what are not. Because when we are taught the sweet words which lead us to the sense of oneness, we are going to be able to see everything that was in vain, that is vain words, and we're going to be able to distinguish the difference because that vision was placed within our heart, that it gives us the ability to see, that's why it's vision, what is and what isn't, because the tav on the suffix side is all about unconditional love. That's what it is. It's connecting to unconditional love and to the sense of oneness.
Yeah.
So everything else, if it isn't about unconditional love and oneness unity, is vain. So let's go a little further. I'll have to do a new share. So the next word we're looking at is, it's just the word because. And in this one, this is a mem, tet, lamed. So in this root, it's the same. It's the same. It's static. So there's nothing that's really going on here. It's like, it's that lump of clay. Nothing is going on, but it is telling you that there's potential. So what it's telling you, so you're going to learn how to be able to discern what is vain, but because there are the mother and father's teachings you are going to wrestle with. You're going to wrestle with them in the world, but they are going to teach you light, and there's a process to it, but you have to choose whether you're going to wrestle or not. So this word is just static. It's just letting you know you're going to wrestle, but the teaching shepherd will help you sort it out. Then we get to the word is this and these. This is, this would be a hey noon. So I'm going to look at it. So the next word is a hey noon in the root, and the next one after that is a hey vav. So remember, it's a hey noon and a hey vav, and let's see how they've morphed, because they look simple enough, right? These, this, he, it, and is. Hey noon, hey vav. Here's our Hey Noon, and here's our Hey Vav. But look at what is added on the inside of that word.
Lamed.
A Lamed Yod.
Yod.
This is the instructions inside of you. Having authority on the inside that gives you the Yod, the inward vision where you get power, means, and direction. So this non-static word is going to let you know that you're going to wrestle, but that teaching shepherd's going to come. The activation then comes here with it entering in, because this is how you activate it. The teaching shepherd must teach you inwardly. It's going to bring the revelation to the inside authority where you're going to be given the power, means, and direction inside to overcome your fallen flesh nature. And this, this was Hey Vav, which is fine. It's static too, but it's telling us that there is revelation that will come that you are needing to connect to. But that doesn't mean anything. It's just telling you there's a revelation there. You got to connect to it. So then, because that Vav's hanging out there, what is it connecting to? What is it wanting us to connect to? Well, let's take a look at what this next word is. So it looks like the simple word for, right? This, these, he, she, it, for, come. But it's the root of this. Can you see right here what it says? Projectile, arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the middle path that is on the tree of life? We've shared it many times. Isn't it called the path of the arrow?
Of the mystic, yeah.
Yeah, it's the path of the arrow.
Yeah.
So right there, it's letting you know that what we are learning is the way of the mystic. So the revelation is going to come, which is the path of the arrow. You're going to have to gather, because Gimel, gather and assemble. You're going to have to gather and assemble the things that are needed to give you the vision to raise you up from being poor and destitute to become a first fruit leader. Wow. Come. Atah. So what is the revelation that you need to connect to, that you need to gather? The Aleph Tav Aleph. The covenant of one. Mother's going to come with her portion, father's going to come with his, and they are connected through the covenant of love. That's going to come to you. And we already know that Aleph Tav is a summary of going through the letters of light. A to Z, A to Tav. It's the steps of progression. Okay. Now, let's talk about this last portion. So that's comes. Now let's look at this one. Okay. Anger, wrath, and indignation. We're going to go deeper. Because all of this stuff, because I know that God is unconditional love, when I see those things, it automatically makes me want to dig deeper. It's like, that doesn't sit right with me, so there's something that is being missed.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Right in the middle of the screen over here. Excitement, anger, commotion, and tremble. The very first definition is excitement.
Mm.
Definition of excitement: feeling of great enthusiasm and eagerness, or something that arouses enthusiasm and eagerness, an exciting incident.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there's something else that's going on here. And what is rousing the excitement? They've been pierced in their heart. They've connected at the heart level, and the Father's revelation has come to them. The divine feminine teaching has come to them. That is rousing excitement. And what is the next word? God. Allah. So this is a dalet that's added in front of it. So this is telling us the excitement of the Father's teaching is meant to give us the door to become Allah, to become an El, to become one, a strong leader, a teaching shepherd that comes forth with revelation in teaching oneness. That's why we're to be excited. And that Father is excited for us. He's not wrathful.
Wow. Yeah.
Because we have been deceived with
Well,
vague
wrath isn't
words.
even in there. Anger was, but not
Right.
wrath.
Exactly. So this interpretation that was done by John Etheridge at least said anger. But the
Yeah.
King James, which really, well, I'll keep my words to myself there because they're,
Yeah.
so they at least used anger, but King James put wrath, the wrath of God. But it's the excitement of God. And it's really the excitement of ourselves because we get to go through the door. The teacher is presenting the way to become the strong leader, teaching shepherd. You are as God. And then we have upon, and we know that this is also meaning ascension. That word means ascension, upon or to ascend, because then you will have the eyes to see and know the purpose of why the teaching shepherd came. This is the word for son, the sons of. It's bania. So these are, again, it's a frequency, those who have built themselves through the spiritual path that are given the power, means, and direction, the power of the right hand, that have become one. And how did that happen? Because of the excitement of giving the Father's teachings so they could go through that process. They could go through the process and they could ascend and become, this is the manifested sons of God, aka manifested sons and daughters, aka the 144,000. Now, this word, you would say that it's not, right? But they don't even have not in here. But that's not what it's saying. The door to your inward man is going to teach you how to become one. Now, let's take a look at this word right here. This is the root. Do you think there's a lot going on here if that's the root?
Wow.
So that root is borrowed. You're going to love this. This is why I wanted to share this with you. And, you know, usually I would wait until Sabbath, but this was just way too wonderful to just wait.
This is the word disobedience.
Yes, this is the word disobedience. And the reason why they said disobedience, and opposite, because of the low right here. But this word does not mean disobedience. This word here means obedience. But again, in the higher narrative, a teaching shepherd will come and teach you the way of one so that you can have what is obedience. But that's not what this word comes from. This was a loan word that they pulled from Greek. Because remember, in that time period, when this was being written, there was a heavy Greek influence, right? Because of the dispersion, and the tribes of Israel had been scattered abroad and they got absorbed into the Hellenist teachings. There were a lot of Greek words that leaked over. This is part of the word, it comes from pistis. Nomos pistis, the law of faith. So this peace, which is, you know, that's what it is, peace. This is, you can even connect this to the word that we use in English for peace. That's how you say this, is peace. And it means to compel, to trust, faith, confidence, a compact, and a treaty as reconciled.
Reconciled.
It's faith and confidence and reconciled.
Yeah.
Faith, confidence, and reconciled. And so when we take a look at all the words, this is why there is no wrath of God here. There's not even anger of God.
Yeah.
They wanted to put that in there. This word here is excitement. It's excitement because you are going to be of the faithful, right?
Yeah.
You are
So a
firm.
lot of times they probably went in and they have their own mindset of how things are. And so they chose anger instead of
Or
excitement.
control and manipulation.
Yeah. But then they had to completely change the word disobedient on the end for it to fit, right?
Well, and understand
Because
that
there wasn't a duality of disobedience there. It was all faith, confidence, and reconciled.
Right. So when this was written to us, when Paul wrote this to us, he put this code in. He knew exactly what he was saying. But the translators, because they didn't know how to read the code and they wanted to control and manipulate the people, because of the system of duality, they could take things and manipulate them and twist them around to be something that they weren't saying to us, to be the exact opposite, and they wouldn't get in trouble because they would hold it within the system of duality. Because in the system of duality, you're going to have those that are obedient and you're going to have those that are disobedient. That's part of it. But that's not what this word is talking about. From the root of it, we're talking about, it's also about, so faith and confidence, to trust, that's in there, to be reconciled.
Yeah.
That's a lot different than disobedience. And so when you take a look at it, you have mem. It leads with the living water teachings of mother and father. And then you're marked. You're marked with the golden rule. All of us have learned the golden rule. Not that everybody actually does it, but you know, the 10 commandments are part of that. And if you're a Christian foundation, you know that. But then look, it has a tet. The tet was added. It means you are going to wrestle and struggle with what? The pay. You're going to struggle with your mouth. You're going to struggle with the languages, because this is a pei of elevated language that you're going to have to wrestle with. But it's meant to give you a seed vision within the root of your being so that you can become married, which then is that whole root of everything that I just read to you, so that you have confidence and that's the fullness of faith and being reconciled and being able to trust the process. Because then what does it lead you to? Now it's a noon added. This is incorruptible flesh. You have now been changed. You've been connected to the Father's teaching. You have the mark, signature sine wave frequency change of unconditional love, and you have found oneness. You have found Christ consciousness. Hence why you have faith and confidence and trust, and you've reconciled everything as one. That is a completely different translation than what we see right here. And the biggest thing, excitement. It's not anger and it's not wrath. There is an excitement for those that are above, for the group that would receive the Father's revelation and teaching, the divine feminine teaching, that would have the eyes to see the code that has been waiting for the generation that would be able to match that frequency and begin to see it. And we are here and we are doing it now. And so there's a whole lot of excitement from above, from the higher dimensional frequencies, for a people that are beginning to see this, because we are going to change the tide. We are going to change the way this world behaves, because we have chosen to go through the door of our inner man. We've chosen the Spirit of truth to lead us into truth, and we've allowed the Holy Spirit to do the work of the divine masculine with the Spirit of truth into divine feminine, so that we can become creators and be all as one. Christ consciousness unity.